Good evening, Abdul sir. It's been a big privilege for me. It's a long time incubating idea within me that how richer learning can be when you discuss. Learning through discussion is my platform. So thank you so much, a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India with 4 decades of experience in auditing, spanning venture capital, hedge funds, and private equity within a core strength in financial services domain across diverse industries and geographies. So thank you so much. We're looking forward for your invaluable insights from your distinguished career, exploring key learnings, professional judgment, governance, and your evolving role of accounting and audit in today's dynamic global environment.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
To begin, I'm recording this session for all the participants. It would be wonderful if you could come on camera because the concept is a learning through discussion where we'll have it as an interactive session. So to begin with, a childhood memory of yours that has shaped you to who you are today.
See, actually, I started my journey from a small place in Karnataka, which is Bijapur. And, mostly when I started my journey as a student, my mother was my teacher for 7 years, up to seventh standard.
Wow.
So I studied in a government Urdu school, and so obviously I think at that point in time, since class teacher was my mother, so I got highly influenced by her essentially. I think what I remember, my childhood, kind of journey, um, you know, basically my mother used to always tell me that you do what you like.
Hmm.
I think that's her mantra basically was that, look, she never used to push actually, because those days, if you look at, I'm talking about in early, late 70s and early 80s,
Yeah.
people were highly kind of, mostly to certain sectors, I think, whether it could be basically medicine or engineering or all of those sort of things.
Yeah.
But she used to
Government
always
office.
say that, look, I think you just do what you're best at, and commitment. And in addition to that, ethical values, what she kind of, put in me at a very early stage when I was just a third, fourth standard, what is right, what is wrong, what's hard work, and, commitment and passion and curiosity. I think just, the one thing which I learned from is be curious, whatever you're learning, why you're learning. So that is really, I think, something which, um, you know, uh,
Shaped you.
so much useful for me from the beginning. I think, some of this softer skill, if I have to
Yeah.
really say that in a different word, she kind of told me that soft skills are very important, not really soft skill the way we talk about today, ethical values, commitment, hard work. So curiosity, I think some of these
Life
things,
skills.
which I picked it up very early. If I'm doing the mathematics also, I think, so ask the question, why is it like this? Science, chemistry, it's all about that. That really helped me, till today also. I
Wonderful.
think some of the learning which I've done in the past, in my childhood, I think still they are there with me from that
Yes.
perspective. So I think if you have to really recall one particular thing, what I learned is that, your soft skill, you need
Okay.
to always keep, and also keep improving upon, keep
Huh.
learning, keep improving
Keep
upon. I
learning.
think that's something which keep reading, those habits continue till today for me.
Wonderful. So your mother being your inspiration is just even beautiful to hear. So thank you, sir. So before we go into the major question bank, one instant mojo, a quick burst of energy, confidence, or a spark that helps you immediately feel motivated. So first you have to tell us how you get it, then how you keep it. I mean, in case you lose it, then how do you get it back?
Basically, I think, what excites me every morning is the problem. See,
Okay.
I like taking the problems. I want problems because without that, I think you can't really put your, mind to work. It's just not about, the subject matter. Anything for, whether it's in personal relationship, whether in terms of coaching someone, learning something. So I always like challenges because that's what make me to really start working through. When I was, in the when I was in second, third, or fourth year standard, I think that time I think I used to read a lot about history,
uh,
apart from the subject. So I used to always, look at the challenges what were there at that point in time, why this particular event happened, and take a deep dive into those events. So if you were to really put it across for me, I think I need basically the problems or challenges because then only I'll start working around it. Because without challenges, my mind just doesn't work. Till today, also, it could be client work, it could be on economy, it could be on societal risk, it could be different risk type. So always, I think I look at in terms of something to think about,
no,
something to look at it, and something to solve. So that's what I think always energizes me. So
wonderful.
that is something which I believe, at least for me, is very important. That without any problem statement, I feel I think it is just not worth that day. You just go and come back.
Very nice. So, in case you're going to go off your instant mojo or your burst of energy, so there are always problems, I think, currently that's existing. So,
I think, see, many people say that, I need to work hard. For me, I think, once your mind is tuned, for example, I have a problem on hand. Now, I think I always feel that I'm motivated, I'm working towards that. For me, I think it doesn't really matter that whether it's night 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock or morning 5 o'clock. I never feel exhausted because the mind is so much engaged. So, that's where, unless until solve that problem, I figure out how to go about, looking at the problem. So for me, that is something which I always look for every day. I think whether it's a working day or whether it's on Sunday, something else, I'll pick it up. So for me, that is very important that I need to have something challenging on my table, think
wow.
through, and try to bring best out of me.
Wow. So, thank you, sir. So, before we start formally, so do or any all of our participants, you're most welcome to ask what you have or to pick up something from what sir spoke about. So, please go ahead. So, this is the time for yourself. Anybody has anything to ask or discuss or talk about? Okay. Okay, so what's the first image that comes to your mind when you think of your very first day as an accountant?
Before that, I think when I finished my, the so-called 10th standard, it was a crossroad for me, basically, where to go. There were obviously, a lot of options I had, in terms of, it could be engineering, it could be medical, and all of those things, because you need to decide at that
Hmm.
point in time. Two profession I was extremely, kind of attracted to. One was the teaching. So I
Okay.
always thought, like my mother, okay, it's the best profession to be in. You can become teacher, and you can excel from there. The second one, which came to me, I think when I was all kind of exploring, I thought where I'll get maximum knowledge. You know,
Hmm.
when I'm saying knowledge, just not about technical knowledge. I look at the broader concept. If I go to engineering or go to, I think, medical, obviously it will be very, very specialized field. So someone told me that, look, I think commerce is a subject. You can really choose what you want to do. You can become, obviously, I think you can have many different kind of careers. So that's why I chose commerce.
Okay.
I was not aware of CA. There's, I think, in such a small place, there were no
Oh,
CAs, nothing of that sort there. So my thing was that, okay, let's take commerce. And
okay.
then, then maybe I think finish my MCom and then do teaching, teaching in commerce, basically commerce accounts and stuff like that. So that's how
Okay.
I started my, the commerce education. When I got to commerce, then I started learning in terms of what is the, how I can progress here. Then I think many people say, okay, fine. I think if you do commerce, You can do many professional courses like, that time it was called ICW. It's now
Mm.
ICMA, basically cost and management accountant. Then we had company secretary, then chartered accountant. Then I started looking at deeply what is a chartered accountant all about. I started realizing, when I started realizing, I felt that this is something which can teach me a lot, because
Okay.
bookkeeping, it'll give you the diverse, knowledge of different industries, different economies.
Okay.
Stuff like that. I started, kind of, this whole linkage came in my mind. I said, okay, fine,
Okay.
let's just, let's go to, I think, this particular field. And I finished my BCom, and then I enrolled for CA. When I started my, article journey, basically, which is, like training, we call it article journey.
Okay.
The first thing which came, the first job was given to me essentially is to just look at the telephone directory, and then, they just gave me, why can't you just total it up, this whole thing? Some numbers they gave to me. I just
Okay.
totaled up, and then they gave some other numbers to me. So 3, 4 days, I was just totaling up. So
Oh my
basically, I
God.
think I asked, what is that I'm doing?
Basically adding
One of the,
numbers, sir.
yeah, just adding numbers. My manager said, look, I think it's a concentration. Why are you
Mm.
doing this? Is that you're not
Mm.
learning anything. We want you to concentrate. The first learning for me when I became accountant, how to concentrate, how
Ah,
to concentrate on the job on hand. Although it
okay.
was just, kind of a,
Ah.
so,
So
that's
you don't
where
have
I
to be
realized that,
very good in adding numbers, or you don't have to be good in maths.
yeah, not good in maths or not adding number. It's just a concentration. It's a concentration. You are looking at those numbers very carefully. You're trying to get through that. So I think the attention and concentration is what I think, that taught me basically.
Yes.
Because the
So it's a
reason
very
is that
difficult thing to do, sir.
because in our profession, the eye for detail is very important.
Hmm.
Especially I think, if you don't have the concentration, and if you don't keep all your thinking together on that particular aspect, what you're doing, it will be
Okay.
very, very difficult. So that is something which I believe today also, if you want to become a good auditor, the most important is that how you concentrate, how you're
Okay.
curious,
How curious.
because that's how, and, what happened was that later on I started realizing, that, in accounting profession, there are two pillars essentially. Those are very, very critical to really sharpen. One is basically skeptical. You got to be skeptical. You have to have skeptical mind. You need to keep asking question to yourself. Does it make sense to me? At the beginning itself, and started.
Okay.
I think
Hmm.
that's something
Hmm.
which
Pause and
is very,
ponder.
very critical. Yeah, yeah. Just ponder, ask, is it right? Does it make sense? That is called skepticism. We call that as. And the second
Okay.
important thing I learned is essentially how to make the judgment. On a given scenario, I have to make a
Hmm.
judgment on different aspect. I'll probably touch base later on. So,
Okay.
so I realized that I think some of these tricks are extremely important. Concentration, commitment, basically skepticism and making sound judgment. So those are the things which started hitting me saying that, look, I think I need to sharpen this skill. Just not
Hmm.
about learning about accounting and
Okay.
auditing. I think the key thing which I learned at this stage is that, some of these skills are so critical for us.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
we often, kind of
You'll have
don't,
to invest
give
time and
importance.
learn.
We just neglect them. So I thought maybe I think some of these things I need to be looking at it. Although at that time it was very, very, I was very new to the profession, very young, and obviously I was learning through all of those things.
Yeah.
But some of these things started coming to my mind that, look, I think I started noting down some of these skills. I need to kind of sharpen those. I need to read more. I need to understand more.
Okay.
I think that's how the journey started on.
So you have to invest in getting these sorted,
Yes.
which will, okay, beautiful. So looking back over 4 decades, what first drew you to accounting and audit? So, as you said,
See, when I
the
finished my CA, see, I did my articles in a smaller firm. Then
okay.
I, joined one of the, after finishing my, qualification, I joined one of the big four firm. So
Mm,
I think, what was going in my mind, once again, I had a lot of options. I could have gone to industry. Instead of just being the profession, I could have just chose some manufacturing industries. At that time, that point in time, there are many companies offering, I think, NCA's opportunity. I took a
mm,
step back. I asked myself the question, what is that I want to be doing here? Where I want to head towards? Because if you go to industry, obviously you'll become CFO, you'll just grow to that
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah.
And, so all of those things. But for me, I think it's very, very early. It stuck to me that, see, end of the day, if you want to become better professional, it all, boil down to knowledge, what you're gaining.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
what knowledge you gain is very important. And so when I looked at audit, see, audit is something which I always believe that it's one profession. There's no limit to knowledge because
Wow.
you keep working on different industries. So I joined this firm in India. Then I said, okay, fine, let me be in this profession at least for 2 years. Then let's start learning out of the profession. So I started going for the audit of manufacturing entities, trading entities, service entities. I started that journey, from that day of my joining. But something it was telling me that, look, I think I need to go out of this country to understand much bigger culture in different countries, what's
Mm.
happening in other countries. So that's how I started my journey, and then when I went to the Middle East, one opportunity I was looking is that, it is something which has happened with me, which happened with me was essentially, um, you know, I wanted to be part of the audit of central banks. So
Okay.
central bank is nothing like your RBI.
Okay.
So in the Middle East, I started, auditing one of the central bank. I joined as an associate. Believe me, I think the learning what I had in that particular engagement for 2 to 3 years, that sets my tone in terms of my knowledge. So
Ah.
just to, I think, decode that in some slightly detail, when you do the audit of central bank, like of your RBI, the first and foremost thing you start looking at is the world. You understand the world much better because the
Okay.
central banks basically they invest in other countries. They have the reserve. So I started, harnessing my knowledge in economy.
Mm.
Central bank, when you look at it, central bank objective is to have stability in the economy and, obviously lower inflation, all of those things. So I started realizing, it's important for me to understand the globe first because central banks invest money in almost all the countries,
Yes.
apart from the US treasuries. So in that audit, I started learning about, major, kind of economic indicators like, inflation, employment, government debt, IMF accounting, and, treasury of central bank, how they operate, how
Mm.
the currency, moves in the world, how the inflation moves, what's happened to, the commodity prices. So many broad parameters you need to keep back of your mind. So
Okay.
that really was extremely important, engagement for me, getting into the central bank. Because for an accountant, see what happened today, I think, it's very, very important apart from accounting and auditing. You need to have a solid knowledge of economics.
Ah.
Without economics, it's very difficult to make
Okay.
sense out of anything because
So,
in
so it's
economics,
not
what?
the numbers and just maths, sir. I
No,
mean,
no,
that's
no.
what
Because
is I think that's what for layman. So if you mean accounting and audit, it means that you should be good in maths or numbers.
no, see, accounting and auditing to large extent depend upon the broader, what's happening in the ecosystem.
Okay.
Because if the currency loses its value, it has impact on you. If interest rate goes up and down, it has impact on you. Inflation within the economy has impact on you. So some of these things, I think, often they're not been taught in accounting. People think that, okay, auditing means just go there, just look at the bookkeeping, just look at the, do the audit of the transaction, come back. No, I don't think so. That really helps. So you
Okay.
got to sharpen your, your knowledge on the much broader thing.
Right.
At
So
the
we are
same
actually
time,
defining success. Then
yeah,
it
yeah,
is okay.
yeah. So because end of the day, I think audit is a common sense in my mind.
Uh,
You know, as I said, audit means nothing, but does it make sense to me? Whatever I'm doing, for example, I'm doing an audit of a transaction or anything for that matter, does it make sense to me? I think that question you need to keep asking. For that, you need to have the, knowledge. You need to
wow.
have knowledge, broader knowledge. So to, kind of link it. That was the one thing which I realized. The second important thing which I also realized,
Mm.
apart from this, broader knowledge, that broader knowledge, I just say this is a global acumen. I'll talk later on what's a global acumen and what happens.
Okay. Mm.
And then I also looked at the soft skill. See,
Mm.
basically, how do you receive coaching? because giving coaching is different thing, but you need to also receive coaching properly,
Yeah.
right? So communications with impact, coaching, and also working with the team, how to become a good team player. Some of these aspects started coming in because I used to work in the large engagement. When you do central bank audit, there's so many people, there's so many managers, there's so many partners. The interpersonal skill also start developing. So
Yeah.
at very early stage, it came to my mind that look, I think apart from accounting and auditing, which is anyway there, law and regulations and stuff like that, you need to focus on broader ecosystem. Then you need to also focus on the soft skill. So
Okay.
that made me to read every day. The
Ah,
habit which I started about 30
interesting.
years back about economies, about broader things, it still stays with me. I think that is very important. So that's why I keep telling my colleagues that look, I think unless until you see the broader picture, you will not be a good auditors. It will be very difficult for you to do any good audits.
So, golden words from you. So, I mean, we can now go on to the participants here. So, we'd like to actually make it as a discussion session. That's the whole point here. So, anybody has anything on with Sir, now is the time. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir.
I,
So, in this world of fintech and how the world is developing towards AI, what do you think would be the best way for accountants to develop, and like, what is the best way for us to, you know, be on top of our game?
that's a good question. See, I think basically the way I look at Arvind, if you look at, how you need to think through, I think broadly I put this to three topics. One is technical knowledge, which is what you're core at. For example, it could be accounting, it could be auditing, it could be law and regulation, it could be corporate governance, which is there and which is going to change. So always I keep saying to myself that technical knowledge is not going to be static. It will change. Accounting standard will change, auditing standard will change, law and regulation will change because obviously business is changing. And very important, we need to also understand business will move ahead much faster than accounting standard.
Okay.
Business will really move fast, and then we'll start thinking about writing the standard. So in my mind, I think that is there. You need to keep looking at it. I'll just come back to a question. The second important thing which I stress upon is your soft skill.
Hmm.
Today in AI world, you need to have your soft skill very clearly defined. For example, you got to
Okay.
keep developing yourself.
Hmm.
You need to keep developing yourself. You need to have self confidence. You need to have self belief. You need to think about your communications. You need to think about how you build relationship. You need to think about how you negotiate in difficult times. Right? So some of these skills are so
Okay.
critical today because unless until you develop yourself, it's very, very difficult to really face AI world tomorrow. Let me just go back on the AI itself. The third thing, before AI, the third thing is global acumen. See, what is this global acumen? See, global acumen, I'll define in a very simple way. What are the global risks which are facing this planet? You need to think through your mind. Okay, what are those, big risks? It could be economical risk, how the economies are growing, not growing, what's happening to employment, what's happening to government debt, what's happening to inflation. That we call as economical risk. You need to keep developing, how this risk is, underplaying in every country. The second one is basically technological risk. The way
Hmm.
technology is,
Yeah.
changing the world. It brings its own risk,
Yes.
including cyber risk and all. Third
It's
thing, we
actually
all,
now AI is there, but 10 years down the lane, we don't know what
yeah.
will be AI
No,
called
I'll
as.
come back on AI itself. So the third thing is essentially your climate risk, which we all know that. I think obviously a lot of things are happening on the climate side. The fourth is geopolitical risk. See,
Hmm.
we are not in the, today in an era where I think, there's only one superpowers. The geopolitics are really defining. I think you all know what's happening in the geopolitically. Then the last one to me is very fascinating, which is called societal risk.
Okay.
You know, I think basically what is happening in the societal risk is income gap.
Hmm.
From my experience in different countries, when I think you have wide gap between haves and have-nots, it'll bring a different kind of risk to the society. So
Okay.
global acumen is nothing but this one. So that's what when I look at the world map, and never look at the world map through physical or political lens. It doesn't make sense to me because, those are, what you've been taught on the world map. I don't think so
Mm.
it is relevant today. So I try to see the world map through different angle. For example, if I look at the world map versus age versus, young population, how does it
Mm.
look like? If I look at the world map, countries which have natural resources, countries which don't have natural resources. Third thing, literacy. Fourth is gender, income gap. So you need to understand from the different dynamics. The world map looks very different.
Okay.
Then you understand why we're in this, why there's so much instability today. So that broader aspect you need to, kind of link it. Now let's come to AI. The bigger question is basically on AI. Now let's look at like this. It's extremely difficult to predict where we'll head towards on AI because it's very nascent stage today. It's
Yeah.
only, I think, it's in the control of human being. Today, AI models are in the control of human being.
Yeah.
So we all believe that, I think, right now it's like that. For example, if you look at any technological revolution
Mm.
from, last 200 years, those
Yeah.
revolutions were all in the control of human being. Whether you take, telecommunication, internet, railways, anything for that matter. But now we have a technology. We don't know whether we can control it later. Just
Yes.
imagine if AI is going to learn on its own and start deciding on its own. That means human beings have to stay with someone much smarter than themselves. I don't know where we'll head towards. So now the question is that in this world, what I should be doing? In my mind, you should be doing two things. First, you need to sharpen your soft skills, especially your self-belief, I think your
Okay.
self-development.
Mm.
And secondly, I think your broader knowledge. Because end of the day, you should be able to challenge the output of AI. If you want to become better professional, only I think those people will survive going forward who kind of, challenge the outcome of AI.
Okay.
And just
Yeah.
imagine to challenge the outcome of AI, you need to have the world-class knowledge.
Mm.
Because see, AI, what happened, it all depends upon the data, what data you feed it, how much data is there, how
Yes.
much bias is in their data. So I think I'll be very, very worried about if somebody uses AI and concludes, based on the output given by AI without really cross-checking that. So to my
Okay.
mind, I think you should get to that knowledge. So
Yeah.
that means simply you need to keep developing yourself very well on global acumen,
Mm.
on soft skill, and especially for accountants. As I said, how do you make the judgment? You can make the
Okay.
judgment only if you have the good knowledge. And since I think some of you are all CA, see, when I finished my CA course, it was all historical cost, very easy to audit. You know, past transactions, you just do the bookkeeping, it's fine. But today, you're moved to fair value. So that means accountants are keeping books of future. Future is
Okay.
so uncertain, right? So it's a very, very different skill you require today. For CAs, when I completed, now what the CAs are required, are supposed to do today, there's a wide gap here. If you
Mm.
look at balance sheet, when I look at the large balance sheet today, you have intangible more than tangible assets. Your goodwill, your brand, So just imagine you are keeping books for future. Nobody knows the future. Then just imagine what sort of knowledge you should have to get comfort or give comfort on those numbers, right? So that's a big challenge. So to me, I think, my only, humble request for all of you is that how do you really reinvent yourself? Not
Okay.
only in accounting and auditing and corporate governance, how do you reinvent your soft skills? How do you reinvent your global acumen? And I'll tell you because see, the way I believe is that nobody can develop anyone in the world. They can only help you. If I'm going to say that, look, my employer is going to develop, my mentor is going to develop. No, nobody will develop you. It's actually your inner, you know, feeling or
Self
inner kind of a
motivation.
motivation. So
Yeah.
that means you need to keep looking at your development all the time. You need to do your SWOT analysis. What I'm good at, what I'm not so good at. How do I
Mm.
go forward from here? Right? So that is what keeps you motivated. And then what happens once you have this goal, automatically you'll start reading.
Okay.
You'll start reading about
Yeah.
economics, accounting, auditing, soft skill, corporate
That's,
governance, about global. I think your knowledge will just become multifold. So one of the things which I always keep as a base for me, see the sense check which I do for myself, I ask the question, if I meet a CEO, CFO, regulator, can I have a meaningful conversation with them?
mm,
As an accountant, what we think, we're good, we're very, very good in accounting. We ask CFOs or tax heads, but often, we need to have a knowledge, convincing knowledge to have a meaningful dialogue with the CEO.
okay. Yeah, yeah,
That can only
definitely.
happen,
Yeah, because
yeah,
his
if
time is
that can,
precious, so we'll have to ask
yeah,
meaningful questions.
questions to CEO and help him. That can only happen if you know about economy, if you know about the industry, if you know about the customer changing preferences. So, and if I had to go to regulator, I keep many regulators. They have different challenge how to regulate fintech companies, So they have different challenges. So your knowledge should be scalable. So
Mm,
that's my, barometer all the time. If I'm able to hold the conversation with CEO, if he gives me 10 minutes, if I extend for half an hour, then I think that I won the game. He was listening to me. I had a different perspective.
wow.
So I think that's what one should do basically, how to
Yeah.
improve yourself or make yourself knowledgeable so that you can speak to anyone for that matter.
And how
That's what,
unique you bring your uniqueness.
correct. That's what I think. I think I strongly believe that this is where we, as an accountant, sometimes we lack. We
I
start away
agree.
jump in terms of accounting, auditing, number. No, that's not going to work because, the, the numbers used to make sense when it was historical cost. Now, numbers will not make sense unless until you have the broader picture in your mind. Convincingly, you can convince someone that, look, this is what it is. And also with fair valuation, as you know, there is no relationship in cash flow and your profit today because of unrealized gains sitting in your accounts, right? I
Mm,
think some technical thing I'm talking about, Prajit, I think they'll understand. Earlier, what I used to see when I was in chartered accountant, profit is to match to cash flow. Today, I have a profit, cash flow is negative because a lot of unrealized gain is sitting in the P&L account, right? Because of fair valuation. Things have changed. So today, if you ask me, it's very difficult to understand the accounts even for the experienced people. Forget about, I think, investors. Suddenly, I think people realize this company was making profit, how it's become bankrupt. It was making profit, but it was all unrealized. Events just went out of the control. Now they're making losses, negative cash flow, the company is gone, right? So some of these things is what I think I believe you should keep looking at it. And what your examination, what your past, that's fine. I think you need to really work much harder now, to become a better, kind of auditors, better accountant, whether you do CFO or you do C. And if you look at the chartered accountants who excel, they have done this very well. Look at the CAs who have gone on the top of the pyramid. They always have worked. They continue to work on the soft skill and the global acumen.
okay. All CA terms, but still, so getting the crux of what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Arvind, what is your take on what Sir has, such a beautiful answer from Sir?
Yeah, I'm very much, agree to him. I also have a vision of, becoming an accountant who's adapting to the world, right? We cannot, say that I'm just going to, do the normal bookkeeping or whatever, the normal day-to-day activities. We should constantly evolve and adapt. And that is the main point, which I wanted to arrive at. But more than that, I also want to know from sir that now let us say that as an accountant, I want to develop my own firm, right? I want
Yeah.
to like compete with these other, big fours that are there in India. Now that India is trying to make its own big four, right? As a fresh accountant, what would be the ways in which I can get there soon? Like I want to develop my own things, or like I want to become, an owner of a firm.
See, which is once again very good question, basically. See, I think in order to see, no one becomes big overnight. It's a journey, right? Even if you take companies like Apple, Google, they've all started from the scratch. Even this big fours, I think if you look at it, they have a history of more than 100 years. Right. Now, in order to set up a big firm, let's say, I'm a very young guy. I want to really do something big, yes, which is very good. First, I think you need to have vision where I will head towards in next 5 years, where I want to, go in terms of, services, what I'm going to offer, right? What's my vision? I'm going to do audit. I'm going to do, let's say, tax advisory, but you need to be selective in terms of what you can build the skill very quickly, right? So one, you need to have the vision, which is very, very critical. The second one, you need to start thinking through the team. Okay, how can I collaborate with others? How can I get, you can merge with a smaller firm, or you can come as a friend group, I think, who are in different skill. For example, you are good in audit. Somebody is very good in tax. Somebody is very good in international taxation. Somebody is very good in valuation. Somebody is very good in due diligence. You can bring together a skill, five, six, seven, eight people come together and then form a kind of a company. Say that, look, I think this is our vision and we are specialized in this areas and you're going to focus. That's how you start building your team. But in the team, it's very important that, each one of your team need to be aligned to your vision. Where I see problem is that, often I think people are not aligned to one vision. Once they become slightly big, the rift starts happening around there, on various things. So in order to become big, which I always tell people that you have to keep your ego aside. You got to forget about ego. I always feel to tell myself that, look, I need, never, get my ego in any of these things because, otherwise you'll not logically think. So that means second is a team. So vision and the team. And obviously the next one is technology. See, it's not going to be possible today without technology. You cannot build any business or practice. So then technology. Then, next is how to create the size. Then the last piece, I think, where it's very critical, from where I'll get the capital. See, the difference between the yesterday's practice and today's practice, when I finished my CA, there was no technology. So that sort of investment is not required. But today, you need technology, which when you want to have technology, you need to have the investment. That's why I think, there are many, if you look at globally, there is a debate going around whether private equity funds should be allowed in the practice. And if you look at, global scenario, I think private equities are now putting the money in the firms. Now regulators also thinking that, yes, I think, because of, that's why I think, this whole profession of, not doing advertisement or not in scaling investment, those won't work now. But at the same time, the bond, I think the kind of a foundation is ethics. Ethics and the quality of your service, you should never ever compromise, right? So ethics with independence and, your quality, audit quality or any service quality. And some of these things you start thinking through. I'm sure you will get like-minded people, right? So then you can easily build in. So I think to me, those are the some things you should start thinking through. Like, for example, the vision, the team, the technology, the investment, the broader environment, and how to, because another thing is alliances. Without alliances, you can't work today. You got to have alliances. For example, you can have alliances with startups to help you in terms of tool building, right? So, there are many things which are coming through. And today, the audit, if you are wanting to build a firm, audit firm, you need many experts today. If you're an auditor, you need to have valuation expert, forensic expert, due diligence expert, IT audit expert, tax expert, international tax expert. So because it's become so complex, when I sign the large accounts, I have a team of 7, 8 people, I think, who are kind of, controlling my fate. Because ultimately I'm going to sign off. But end of the day, I think you need to have those, teams. So yes, I think, it's very, very important to come out of your comfort zone, challenge the conventional thinking, and move forward. You may have, I think, setback. You will have to have setback. Then only you'll become stronger. That's my advice to, I think, people who want to build the practice.
Wow, golden words. Thank you, sir. So,
Yeah, it is makes a huge difference to me. I also, to add to my question, Now, let us say I'm a very freshly qualified accountant, and I have a vision, I have a team, and I want to develop my firm. Now, in that situation, I am having like two areas. One is I have to develop myself as an accountant and a good auditor. At the same time, I'll have to make sure I'm a good entrepreneur and then build my business as well, right? Both have to be done at the same time. Now,
Correct.
there's a situation where I have a confusion as to which would help me to pitch to clients better. Is it the way I, being a good entrepreneur and say, great things to them, or I, upskill myself and become a better accountant or an auditor and then pitch to them?
I think, see, it's always a, difficult proposition. So in my mind, what you should do is that, see, in order to pitch for the client, right, what is my USP?
Mm.
What's my USP? The USP will be how can I add value? See, today, it's not necessary that you need to start with the big clients. You can start up the startups.
Yes.
I'll give you a simple example today. Many startups in India are not really doing very well because they don't focus on governance.
Mm.
Mm.
You may say that, look, I think risk and governance, I can contribute. You can get hold of many startups who are just starting, young entrepreneurs, and grow with them. For example, governance, risk, some of these practices, you can take it to them. Look, I think you are doing you're kind of building a great organization, but hey, just hang on. You need to also have the fundamentals of governance, system, processes. So you can start with advisory work, let's assume,
Mm.
because obviously you want to build that. Because, once you build the trust and the value add, the referral will start coming to you. That's how the
Mm.
practice grows. You don't have to really go out. You probably have to work very hard first 12 to 18 months and have three or four success stories. And who can, back you to say that,
Yeah.
look, this guy knows actually, right? So in my mind, I think the USP, what value you add, and when, how quickly you can grab when they're very young,
Mm.
those companies, because that's how they grow with you. And audit is trust business, right? It depends upon trust. If you
Mm.
want to really go on audit, audits are not given based on, see, they based on other things, but trust in relationship matters a lot. This man is a, true trusted advisor for me. That's why if you see in many family businesses still continue to have those family auditors,
Mm. Yeah.
second generation, third generation, not because, that trust is built over the period of time, right? So look at in terms of where you want to start off. For example, okay, right now I don't have so much of team to do audit. Let me start with some of the other aspect of it. It could be internal audit, it could be control testing, it could be governance, it could be, some of these things. You even if you can start doing, you can't do the audit, obviously. You can do bookkeeping for certain entities because you got to get your business model right from that perspective. Then you can start taking the plunge. I think you can get the team, and then one by one you can start looking at it. But always remember, Arvind, that you should ask the question, what value I'm going to add here,
Mm.
and how I can make this value seen by others. Not only adding the value, the other party also has to see. I think that's where we're missing today.
Mm.
See, for example, consultant earn more money
Yeah.
because they can make you visualize.
Mm.
You are saving so much of cost. Okay, I'm doing better tax planning. Obviously your tax is optimal. People
Mm.
can see that. In audit, what is happening, people are not able to see that, the value add. So I keep telling many people, when corporates are dead, you talk about governance. It's
Mm.
already dead. There's no point talking about governance there. So I think if you can push startups, please start thinking on governance, which is very important. Please start thinking of the risk appetite, because many of the startup I see, they take too much of risk at a very early stage, right? So some of this value add you can build in and start building your practice based on trust, quality, and value add.
Right.
And these three will make you to run all the time. You have to think all the time then, right? And you become a very involved professional and you start developing yourself very fast. And you will start asking your team to develop very fast.
Yes. And the words that you mentioned, the USP, right? It makes a big, difference to me because I had a word with one of the client pitches in UK, and the thing that they mentioned to me is that how will you know about the local constraints? You sitting in, they know very well I am, trying to pitch for like, outsourced kind of a work in India, and they asked me one single question: what do you know about UK? How do you know about the local laws? So in that situation, we should have the answer to say, yeah, I have read about this. I do
Yes,
have.
you can have that. I've read about it. I have the alliance with someone there. I'm
Uh,
aligning with someone in the UK firm. I
mm,
have a small firm which helped me on laws. Because, in terms of when you, pitch the outsourcing work, there's three aspects to it. One is the accounting standard, which basically,
yeah.
because India's IFRS not much of difference. You can convince them, look, boss, I think the standards are same. There's no much change in the auditing standard also, if you're just, looking at from that perspective. So where they struggle is law and regulation. That is
Mm,
very specific to the country. Anyone who wants to outsource, they will say that you're very good in accounting, you're very good in auditing, but what about laws? Then I think there are only two ways to look at it. One, I know something, or I have some alliances. Don't worry, I have a
mm,
smaller firm there. So that's where I see tying up bigger alliances because you can't build these businesses without alliances, right? Because you will have the expert in accounting, auditing, and you will have the resources. They will bring the laws and regulation perspective. Then together, the client will get comfort.
mm.
Hmm.
Yes.
If you're
Wonderful.
looking for outsourcing, visit those countries, meet the smaller firm, the US, UK, Australia. Like you, I think there are many people who are starting their practice there.
Yeah.
Have the network, then go after doing that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Arvind. You've brought in a lot of thought-provoking questions. Anybody else would like to put forward their questions? So, can you
Sure.
share a moment where your professional integrity was truly tested in your career?
There are many occasions, right? For example, see, I'll tell you, as I said, one big shift which has happened in our profession, which I just alluded to earlier, moving from the historical cost accounting to fair value. It's in a simple term, I'm looking at the value based on the future outcomes. So that means, the clients do a lot of judgments. Now you need to challenge those judgments. So there are many occasions in my professional life where I had a very healthy conversation with the client. This just doesn't make sense to me. And I had the conviction. For example, I'll tell you a simple example. Somebody said that, look, I'm going to grow at this percentage. I listened to them. I said, okay, fine. You tell me, how did you come to this number? I told them that your industry is not growing, your economy is not growing. How you will grow? From where you will have the growth? So the fundamental is not making sense to me. I think, this is where, but I was able to convince them because I had enough knowledge about the assumption what they were making and assumption where I was coming from. Many difficult situations, for example, I had in my professional career on compliance issues, on accounting issues, on tax issues, where I had to just, very politely put my foot down to say that, look, I think, your views and my views are different. And because of this reason, I was very fortunate to convince them because they understood from where I'm coming in. So I think once again, the learning there is that you need to do thorough research because
Hmm.
your clients are running business. They're much more knowledgeable than you.
Hmm.
If you have to go and challenge them, imagine what sort of knowledge you should have. Either you should have knowledge equal to them or should have knowledge higher than them. So my advice here is that, basically these situations will come through. Hold on to your ground. Don't lose your temper, but only savior for you is the knowledge, world-class knowledge, which nobody can deny.
Thank you, sir. So, if numbers could talk, what would they say about your career?
See, the number, if basically the way I look at, the journey, I always keep saying, when you are at 20, 20 to 30, or 35, you got to invest a lot more on your skills. You need to become brand ambassador of yourself. If you look at some of these, tax practitioners or deals practitioners, they build their name because they're gone after knowledge. And knowledge will only come through if you get the exposure. See, one of the, area I see basically where the accountants struggle. After you pass the CA, to become good professional, it will take 10 years for you. 10 to 15 years. That too, if you provided, get the exposure.
Yes.
See, that's what I alluded to earlier. So I wanted to do audit of different things. I did oil and gas, a central bank, commercial bank, airlines, and I did audit of race course, manufacturing, gambling, news, everything I've done. Why did I do that? To get knowledge. Because every industry operates, right? So I'm very fascinating in terms of, getting the knowledge. So to me, I think that's very critical for you, when you look at numbers, focus on your skills, soft skill, global acumen, technical knowledge, and also have some sense what might happen in the future. And which, for example, and once again, my advice is that pick up what you're good at. Just not audit. It could be valuation. It could be due diligence. It could be forensic. It could be cyber. It could be ESG. There are many things available to you. You pick up which really you want. So you may say that, look, I want to become good, transfer pricing guy in the world. Not in India. Don't say that I'll become India. No. But then you're limiting yourself. Keep your vision slightly at very high, even if it looks that it's very difficult to achieve, but at least we'll try. Right? And today the world is one place to me. I think it's not a world because basically it's like a one big country, right? So that's how we should go about doing it, from my perspective.
Wow. Okay, so that's really interesting and very thought-provoking. So, what's one accounting myth that you'd love to burst right away?
Biggest myth is that accounting is a very basic job, people think, which is the biggest myth. As I said, no, today accounting is one of the most difficult job because there are too many judgments involved in accounting today. So accountants are good economists. They need to be good economist. They need to be good accountant. They need to be good in terms of broader knowledge base, right? So, these are all very important to become good accountant. It's just not reading the accounting and auditing standard, you'll become good accountant. No, you'll not become good accountant. So that's myth I want to really say. Accountants are just not bookkeepers. I think they're much broader than that because they are the people who allocate capital.
Okay.
They are the people who really protect your capital. They are the people who kind of, advise you how to navigate different things, in my perspective.
So, what skills do today's professionals need that were not earlier essential?
I think, your audio is not,
Oh, I'm sorry. What skills do
can you
today's...
just repeat once again, Rajita?
Yes, sir. I'm doing that. So, what skills do today's professionals need that was not required earlier?
I think your audio is not, clear.
Okay. So, one second. Let me... am I okay, sir? Am I audible right now?
No, I'm not able to hear you clearly. Am I audible? I think
Sir, you're audible. You're clear.
Arvind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're audible.
Yeah. How about me?
Yeah, you're also audible to me.
Okay. Sir, can we go ahead, Abdul sir?
Looks like there's some net issue, sirs.
Okay. Yeah, sir's back. Sir, I think you're back now. So you're on mute. If you could unmute. Now we are clearer to each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. My question was, what skills do today's professionals need that was not essentially required earlier?
I think, even earlier also it was required. I think the essential skill to me, I just alluded, your soft skill.
Okay.
Today, in the world of AI, if you don't believe in yourself, you are not going to win any battle.
Okay.
Let me put it that way. So to me, if somebody asks me if I am a very young accountant today, I will focus first more on soft skill, my self-development, my communication skill, my leadership qualities, my coaching style, a whole lot of things, my self-belief. And, so those, and, basically vision, and, never accept failure, live with the failure. See, these are the things which you need to really make it very strong today to win in today's world.
So you were saying that you have to be curious in
Very
whatever
curious. You need to
you
ask
do.
the why. Curious
Why?
question. Understand. And you should
So,
challenge yourself. Never be under comfort zone. No matter how much you know, be always hungry because world is moving very fast.
yeah. So,
You
but
don't
being
know.
under the comfort zone is the most comfortable way. So, to step out is difficult.
Yeah,
So,
see, at the end of the day, what happens, it all boils down to, see, I'll tell you, a lot of people think, success is basically, sum of your money, what you make. But if you look at some of the successful people in the world, they have tons of money, they're working very hard.
yeah, hard work.
Yeah, because they want to achieve something, they want to solve something.
Yeah,
They want to look at add something. They're not looking at how much money they have in their bank account. Because if you look at some of the successful people, the generation together, they can just survive without working. But that's not their goal. Their goal is to solve something, to be
yes,
relevant, right? So that is where I think it's very, very important that you need to have your purpose defined. What's
purpose.
your purpose? Where you want to be? What you want to solve? What you want to be known at in the marketplace? If you don't have
So
your
what
purpose,
keeps you curious even after this 4 decades of this successful journey that we all look up to?
now see what is coming to my mind that I think now I'm saying to myself, okay, you have worked very hard. You are now successful, you have made whatever it may be. I think, whatever success is all fine. The question which is hitting me that are you really sharing this knowledge? That's what now, I have a sleepless night. I'm saying that, look, I've not done much. So now I'm in the board of many, business schools. Where I'm
Right.
pushing myself to go to business schools to say that I think what curriculum they should be teaching. I'm in many commerce
Yeah.
kind of colleges. I'm just talking to them in terms of what they need to be teaching their students. And I'm spending a lot of time with the professors, what I've learned. So now I think what is keeping me motivated is that okay, now you need to go back and contribute.
Hmm.
So now I'm thinking broadly, I should do something for the accounting fraternity. One of the things which is, every day morning it comes to my mind that what can I do to make our accounting fraternity, in India known in the world, impart the knowledge what I've gained so that they can become sought after accountant in the world. That's my goal now.
Wonderful. So motivating. So to actually, I think we've
Roger, you are there?
reached the time 1 hour. So
Yes,
though
up
we
now.
don't
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
close, I think we'll be doing more of these series. Abdul sir, look forward to your more knowledge sharing on this platform.
Sure.
To
Yeah.
close, my questions for today is, if your 40-year career had a title, what would it be?
I think the title will basically go after knowledge. Till today, I think that's what I keep doing.
Okay, that's nice. So thank you, Abdul sir. So our participants for today, do you
Thank you
Hello,
so
have
much,
something?
everyone.
hello.
Really appreciate
Am I
your
audible?
time. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Arshalan. You had something to ask.
Yes, hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello. Actually, sir, I had a query. Like you have mentioned earlier that you, for just for the knowledge, like you have audited gambling companies and other sectors. So what would you suggest us, like a newly qualified CA, what would you suggest us to obtain knowledge of us, like 2 or 3 specific sectors, or try to gain knowledge of each and every sector?
No, see, now today I think you need to specialize yourself because those days have gone. When I think we used to audit everything, because today the specialization, because industries are moving very, very fast. So my, I think, request will be that what you're good at. For example, if you like financial services, specialize in that, NBFC, bank, insurance, and all. If you want to be in a pharma sector, you could. So I think I prefer, specialization in the audit. That's because that'll help you. But having said that, you understand the broader ecosystem very well, which I talked about, like, global risk, economies, so those knowledge you should gain because that will help you to navigate even if you've been put in some other industry.
Okay,
Okay.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I think all of us had a wonderful thought-provoking session. Thank you, Abdul sir, once again
Thank you
for
so
all your
much.
time, and look
Thank you.
forward to having all of you and meeting again in our next series. Thank you
Thank
and
you.
bye
Thank
bye.
you, sir. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much, sir. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you. Signing off. Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Thank you.